conservative critic of the health care plan, Iowa Republican Representative Steve King. Congressman, good to have you here. There's some real competition right now within your own party. I want to play to you what the Speaker of the House said about this plan.
We spent a year working on this plan. All House Republicans participated in this. We had these working groups where anybody who had an idea brought it to the table.
Right.
And then we reached consensus as conservatives, as Republicans, on what that plan looked like. We called it a better way. We put it on the internet. We all ran for Congress in 2016 on that plan.
I remember.
It was modeled on the Tom Price legislation. That's what this is. This is the legislative text of that plan that we ran in 2016 on what we would replace Obamacare with.
Paul Ryan is saying you had your chance. You looked at this. This is the plan. You should not be bucking the plan now. Your response?
Well, then, first of all, I've got a good relationship with Paul Ryan, and I have great respect for him. And we've had a number of conversations about this issue going back multiple months, and in fact years, clear back when he and I first came to this Congress. What we got, though, out of the bill, the draft that came out, was not some things that some of us expected, not some things that some of us hoped. They had to listen to everybody, and they put together the ideas that they thought had the best chance to pass the Congress and the best chance to receive the maximum amount of support from Republicans. So that's how I would characterize this bill that's in front of us. And it's missing a few things, and it's got some extras in there that a lot of conservatives don't like. But the first thing is that we campaigned on the full 100%, I say rip it out by the roots, repeal of Obamacare. And we don't get that with this bill. We get some of it. We get quite a lot of it. We don't, though, even get as much as was repealed last year in the bill that went to President Obama's desk, which he vetoed.
But you have the Speaker of the House saying, this is the bill we all agreed on, get in line. You have the President saying, I will go to where you live, I will fill up a stadium with people, and I will tell them that either you are with me, Steve King, or you are against me. Are you worried about that?
Well, not a bit. President Trump's been in Iowa a lot, and he's been everywhere in Iowa except in my living room, and I invite him there. But I'm happy to have that discussion. But also, if you remember, our Speaker said that we have to put this through the process. The bill that came out has to go through committee. Now it's through one committee. The other committee is meeting right now. And then it has to come to the floor and subject itself to the ideas then of everyone that has not had the opportunities to offer those amendments. So there's still room in this process, but I don't think that leadership is going to let any kind of deal-breaker amendment be offered on the floor. And I don't think there are going to be any amendments allowed on the floor that, unless they're amendments designed to get votes. And so sometimes good ideas from the outside aren't going to be any further allowed into a final package that will come. And then they'll have to make a bet on whether they actually can produce the votes on the floor, because it would be a very damaging thing to lose a bill like this on the floor of the House.
So what has to change in this bill in order for your wing of the party to go for it? What must change?
Well, of course, I can't speak for anybody but myself here, but hopefully that we're of a similar mind. And it's this. We would like to see, at a minimum, the repeal bill that passed last year that was vetoed by President Obama be replaced with the repeal they have now. We'd like to see the elimination of the refundable tax credits and replace it with the deductibility that employers have for premiums instead. That does give a level playing field. And then eliminate the mandates, the dozen or so mandates that some are retained, actually a dozen of them at least, retained that are in Obamacare today that are retained by this bill. And if we don't do so, then any promise that we'll later on pass the bill that's on the House calendar now, Paul Gosar's bill, to sell insurance across state lines, will be not necessarily nullified, but diluted in its impact, because every policy then will have to have those dozen or so mandates in it, which drives up the costs and takes away the consumer's choices. So those are some of the things that I think would move a long ways toward getting a strong support from Republicans, and maybe even universal support from Republicans.
I want to test the ideas of the substance, but I have one more question about the process. Senator Tom Cotton said to my friends in the House, pause, start over, get it right, don't get it fast. The GOP shouldn't act like Dems did on Obamacare. No excuse to release the bill Monday night, start voting Wednesday with no budget estimate. Do you agree with Senator Tom Cotton that the White House and Speaker Ryan are choosing speed over accuracy?
Well, I hear what he has to say, and I think it's got merit to consider this. but also the White House and the leadership has had a discussion about how they want the timing of this to work, and so they rolled this bill out. And we should have had more time to digest it. I'd rather seen it out there for a week or 10 days before they go to committee to mark it up. It really isn't much time for anybody to bring amendments to try to make the change, and we don't get amendments passed unless we get public support for that. And it takes time for the organizations from outside to weigh in. I'd just like to see more time. This is the agenda we have, and leadership wants to build momentum. I would be, at this point, if I were leadership, I wouldn't back up, but I would have given them a little more time in the beginning.
Do you think that the White House and Speaker Ryan are surprised by how many members like you are pushing back on this plan? It does seem to be somewhat of a botched rollout. This was supposed to get done quick. Everybody was supposed to get in line, and now you have a lot of people pushing back, even within the party.
Well, I think they're a bit surprised by it, and I think they were prepared for some of it. But we should remember, too, that each one of us, and the honor and the privilege we have to serve here with that vote card, we owe our constituents, and in fact, everybody in America, our best judgment and our best effort. And so if there's a push that says get in line, that get in line better be followed up with a lot of logical things that have to do with policy and the best interests of the United States of America for the long term. So I think that we all have to use our best judgment, and part of that judgment is if nothing gets done here in this Congress, we are stuck with Obamacare for a cycle or more, and that also is a calamity, as we know.
Do you agree with the president that that would be okay? Leave Obamacare as it is. He believes it will implode, and then you blame that on the Democrats. Do you accept that as Plan B?
Well, I believe it'll implode, but I don't like it as a Plan B, and I don't, because Americans have suffered under Obamacare for far too long, and we need to provide that solution, and this is the best opportunity to provide the best solution. But I do think that the train's racing too fast to be able to consider the best solutions that we can offer here. So if there's a Plan B, if there has to be a Plan B, let's back up and take the conservative plan if we don't get that amended into this as we go forward in these markups and on the floor debate. And that would be my Plan B. I don't want to see Americans have to live under this any longer. I've wanted it gone for a long time, Chris.
You got a lot of Americans who are afraid they're going to lose their care also with a change like this, and they want to see what's going to happen. But let's see what the details are. Congressman King, always appreciate you being on the show. Let's see where we are after the next step.